We're back with our FL5. Today we've got not one, not two, but three new products to show you. So our Civic Type R FL5 is back from its first round of development. Today we've got new suspension to show you, seat covers, and a new gear knob. Some of you guys with a keen eye would have noticed that the car is sitting a little bit lower than usual, and that's because the car spent the last week at Nitron having new suspension developed for this platform. You'll also be pleased to know that this has been derived from the FK8 setup, so everything that's on the car now currently will also be able to be retrofittable back to the FK8s. Nitron are one of the industry leaders in suspension development, particularly coilovers and race-derived coilovers. Now the kit that we're putting onto the FL5 is more of a road-going kit. So previously we've been used to the R1 and the R3 coilovers, which are absolutely fantastic on track. But for this car, we wanted to develop something that was a little bit more compliant and user-friendly. Another tick in the box is that it also comes in at a good price point. So on the front suspension, we're using pressurized monotube dampers. Now we've got 25 points of damping adjustment as well as a full height adjustment. So as I mentioned earlier, the car is sitting about 20 mil lower, but we can raise it back up to nearly standard height and still go down a little bit further as well. We're also using these standard top mounts, which is just going to help with a little bit of noise, harshness and vibration, just dampening the feel that you're actually on coilovers, but getting the full benefit from them, therefore making this more of a road-going kit. The coilover kit itself is utilising an electronic delete unit on each corner. Now this is avoiding putting any lights on the dashboard, but after speaking with Nitron and wanting to keep the premium feel that the FL5 has from Honda, is we want to be able to keep those electronic dampening functions. So at a later date, we're going to be looking to retrofit onto this kit an electronic adjuster so that we can then function as intended from inside the car, adjusting and dampening as we go. As we have come to expect from Nitron, their kit is fully adjustable, serviceable and rebuildable. So should there be any issues later down the line, each individual coilover can be sent away back to Nitron and fully serviced and rebuilt. As you'll agree, the car is looking much better at a slightly reduced ride height now. So we can't wait to get out and get some miles on the car to see if we can really start to feel the benefit of the increased handling that these coilovers are going to invoke. But before we get to that, we're going to move on to the interior and start to have a look at some of the other products that we've been developing inside the car. This is a product that people have been crying out for quite some time. Obviously the car has been out in America and Japan for quite a while and we've only just got our hands onto it. But the product was a great hit on the FK2 and the FK8. So of course we were going to do some seat covers. Let's have a look. This time round we've decided to mimic that of the standard seat colourway. So we've opted for a red centre. We haven't broken up the panels in the middle here, we've just gone for the full red in the centre and black around the back and the sides. We will also be doing these in a full black cover, as we have done with the rear covers. The rears will always be a full black, as that's how the seats are, and we didn't feel that we really wanted to introduce too much colour into the back, just keep it quite nice and simple. So moving into the rear of the car, we've gone for a full black cover. Now that's split down the centre, so you can still utilise the rear seats as intended. And we've also gone around the cup holder where it tucks in quite nicely and you still get used to the cup holder. The seat covers also down the bottom there have got access to the Isofix fittings as well as the seatbelt buckles. So with the fact that we've got a full covering on the rear seats now, you can put your kids or your dogs in the back of the car without having to worry about wrecking any of that rear fabric in there. So the final thing I'd like to introduce you to this week is our new shift knob. Most of the time when we're carrying out modifications to the Civics, we'd be looking to shave a bit of weight off the car. Reduced weight generally increases performance. But today we're actually increasing the weight by 300 grams, and that's on top of our dream shift knob. So the shift knob itself, we've mimicked that again of the standard design. We did so on the FK2 model with the ball knob, but again this knob on the facelift FK8 and the FL5 now. So we've gone for exactly the same design. It meets all with the standard trim on the bottom there, but just with an increased weight. So the throw between gears is just going to be that little bit easier. We've increased the weight from 230 grams up to 535 grams. So science coming into play and just the leverage point with the weight over the top, it's just going to make it so much easier flicking it in and out of gear. So things are really starting to get going with the FL5 now. Obviously we've got suspension covered, we've done some of the basics with our seat cover and gear knob, but we've got some big brakes going on next week. That's on the front as well as on the rear, and a couple other bits that we know are cross compatible. So we've got a turbo smart dump valve going onto the car, brakes and a Remus sound controller. We're going to be looking at this one to see if we can control the valve independently of the modes that are inside the car. We notice the majority of the time the valve will be closed unless in R+ mode and under full throttle. So if we can keep the valve open while at idle and at slow speeds, we might get increased sound without having to really worry about changing the exhaust out. I've got so much more to bring you on the FL5. We've got brakes, we've got wheels, as well as many other things. But next up is going to be what's inside this big green box from Profilm. It's not your standard PPF or wrap, but if you've got any ideas, let us know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button because I can't wait to show you what's in store. FL5 Civic Type R is up next to Eventuri. They're 200 metres away from us here at Dream, so I'll run the car round to Bill out and he'll start off by 3D scanning the engine bay and then producing a 3D printed version of what's going to be his new Eventuri intake for the FL5 Civic Type R. So while the car's with me a little bit longer, I'm going to start to have a quick look at the Remus sound controller. It's going to be quite a simple install as we're going to be reusing the standard valve that's on the car. But I will get more in depth with that one on next week's video. If you haven't already, give the video a like, leave us a comment below, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.